Breaking new developments in that deadly stabbing at a high school track meet in Frisco. The teenage suspect just bonded out of the Collin County Jail.
Can a self-defense claim truly justify the use of a deadly weapon during a high school track meet? That's the uncomfortable, complex question now dividing the city of Frisco, Texas, where a single moment of violence has spiraled into a profound legal drama, emotional fallout, and a heated public search for justice. 17-year-old Austin Metcalf is gone, and his accused killer, also 17, is out on bond. As emotions run high, the public is demanding answers about what happened, who's to blame, and whether the justice system is serving its purpose or failing it entirely. On the fateful afternoon of April 2, 2025, Kuykendall Stadium was alive with the energy of competition. It was supposed to be just another routine track meet. Two high school teams, Frisco Memorial and Centennial, gathered for a spirited battle. But in the blink of an eye, everything changed. What began as a friendly dispute over a shared team tent between two athletes, Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony, turned into a deadly altercation. According to police and eyewitnesses, the confrontation escalated at an alarming pace. Karmelo Anthony, reportedly enraged by something said or done by Metcalf, reached into his backpack, pulled out a knife, and plunged it into Austin's chest. The scene that followed was utter chaos. The sound of the knife sinking into Austin's body was drowned out by the screams of coaches and teammates. Panic set in as students scattered in every direction. Austin's twin brother, Hunter, was left helpless, holding his brother in his arms, desperately trying to stop the blood from flowing as his brother slipped away from him. The entire community was in shock, and despite frantic attempts to save him, Austin Metcalf was declared dead at the scene, his life stolen in an instant, his potential extinguished by a senseless act of violence. Austin Metcalf, a 17-year-old honors student, athlete, and team leader, was a light in the lives of those who knew him. He had been the person his teammates could always turn to for guidance, for inspiration, for hope. His loss sent waves of sorrow throughout the community. His father, Jeff Metcalf, later said through tearful words that could barely be formed, "He died in his twin brother's arms. Austin was our light. He was the spirit of his team, the joy in our home. There's no way to fill that void." His father's words echoed through the grief-stricken halls of Frisco Memorial High School, where counselors were brought in to help students cope with the devastating loss. But as time passed, it became clear that the grief wasn't something that could be easily fixed. The pain ran deep, and the community was left wondering how something so senseless could happen in a place they thought was safe. Karmelo Anthony, also 17, was arrested at the scene and charged with first-degree murder. His defense team, however, insists he acted in self-defense. According to police records, Karmelo told investigators that he believed Austin was about to attack him, prompting him to draw the knife in a moment of panic. His defense team has pointed to his clean record, his leadership roles as captain of both the track and football teams, and his solid academic standing to argue that Karmelo was no violent person, just a young man who panicked under pressure. And the court seems to have agreed, at least partially. On April 14th, Karmelo's bond, initially set at $1 million, was dramatically reduced to $250,000 by a Collin County judge, who cited his age, lack of a criminal history, and community ties as the key factors for this decision. In a matter of hours, Karmelo was released from Collin County Jail after his family quickly posted bail. As part of his release, Karmelo Anthony is now under strict house arrest. He must wear an ankle monitor, is prohibited from leaving his home without prior court approval, and must always be accompanied by a parent or designated adult when he does. He is also forbidden from having any form of contact, direct or indirect, with Austin Metcalf's family, and must check in with the court bailiff every Friday until the case is moved to a different court. The judge, Angela Tucker, explained her reasoning, citing Karmelo's lack of a criminal history, his age, and his ties to the community. But this decision, made under the scrutiny of the public eye, has sparked outrage. Many in Frisco fear that this ruling sets a dangerous precedent, that a young person who commits a violent act, even if it's in self-defense, can walk free with a relatively low bond. The emotions surrounding this case have been further stoked by questions that have yet to be answered. Students and parents alike have gathered at school board meetings, demanding to know why Karmelo Anthony was able to bring a weapon to a track meet. Why wasn't the knife detected before the altercation? And perhaps most chilling of all, why is he free, allowed to return to his home, while the family of Austin Metcalf is left to mourn the loss of a bright young life? The school district, in response, has instituted immediate safety reforms. Metal detectors are now mandatory at all sporting events, and all athletes are required to ride school-provided transportation to and from events. The increased police presence at all school events is meant to deter any further violence. A school safety expert weighed in on the changes, acknowledging that this tragedy was a symptom of a deeper systemic failure. This was a failure of the system's security, mental health support, and conflict resolution. And sadly, this is what happens when those gaps aren't addressed. But as the legal proceedings unfold and the community's focus shifts toward accountability, another, perhaps more dangerous factor enters the scene: misinformation. The explosion of posts on social media within hours of the stabbing has created a chaotic environment. Theories about gang involvement, racial motives, and conspiracies have spread like wildfire, muddying the waters of an already tense situation. A digital forensic expert recently warned that the misinformation surrounding the case is not just confusing the public, but also re-traumatizing the families involved. The digital realm, once a place for information and connection, has become a battleground for public opinion, with accusations and defenses flying with equal fervor. One of the most significant points of contention has been the racial dynamics of the case. Austin Metcalf was white, and Karmelo Anthony is black. This fact, seemingly irrelevant to the incident itself, has nevertheless become a flashpoint in discussions online. Some have argued that the case is racially charged, while others, especially members of Karmelo's defense team, have suggested that media portrayals of the incident may be influenced by racial bias. Austin's father, however, was adamant in his rejection of these claims. This wasn't about race. This wasn't political. This was a tragedy, a senseless event that took two kids, two families, and turned their lives upside down. The rise of public fundraising campaigns only added fuel to the fire. Austin's family has raised over $275,000 for a memorial fund in their son's name, while Karmelo's defense fund, launched on GiveSendGo, has exceeded $415,000, enough to cover his bond and the legal costs ahead. Karmelo's family has enlisted two high-profile attorneys, both known for their work in racial justice cases, adding another layer of complexity to an already complicated situation. And so the question lingers: how do we move forward from here? A bright, promising young man is dead, and another faces charges of murder, claiming self-defense in the heat of a moment. The community is fractured, grieving, outraged, and divided over what justice truly means in this case. As the court proceedings continue, so too does the debate. How much of this is about the actions of one individual, and how much is about the broader issues at play in our society? Youth violence, mental health, social media chaos, and racial divides. In the final moments of this tragedy, we return to a quiet candlelight vigil held at Kuykendall Stadium. A handful of students, eyes red from crying, gather in silent remembrance. A banner flutters in the wind, reading simply, "In memory of Austin." From the bleachers, one coach watches the scene, his voice barely a whisper. We're all changed. Now, we have to decide what we do next. Because this isn't just about the stabbing of a young man at a high school track meet. It's about a larger conversation, one we're not ready to have, about race, about violence, about safety, and about the justice system. It's about whether we are ready to confront the broken pieces of our society and fix them, or whether we will let moments like this pass by without real change. It's about whether we can ensure that the next tragedy isn't waiting to happen, and whether, in the blink of an eye, we can prevent another life from being destroyed.